Living the Science of Mind, page 69, Religious Science. I was fortunate in being reared in a home where no religious fears were taught, and where every attempt was made to keep away from superstition and ignorance. It was, however, a religious home where family prayers were said, the Bible was read daily, and grace was said at mealtime. But it was never suggested that we fear God or the future. I was a natural candidate for the New Thought philosophies that have sprung up in this country. Having read Emerson, it was easy to realize that unity is at the base of everything. Over a period of several years, it was my privilege to study the ancient systems of thought, the mystical writings of the Middle Ages, and the modern movements such as Theosophy, spiritualism, and the various branches of New Thought. I found great interest in trying to synthesize these various systems with the purpose in mind of finding the thread of unity running through them. It became my persistent desire to put them all together in one system, realizing that we inherit the great thought of the ages and may enjoy the privilege of entering into its meaning. Probably no one could have had less desire than I to organize or launch a new religion. I am a great believer in all religions and am firmly convinced that every person's faith is good for them and that the form it takes is best for them at the particular time they follow such form. I am certain that the great spiritual leaders of the ages, having given their lives to meditation, prayer, and communion with the Spirit, have left a great spiritual legacy to the world. Taken as a whole, they have come nearer to discovering God than any other group of people. Claiming very little originality of thought and not particularly desiring any, I have always been in a position to learn from all sources. Truth cannot belong to any individual, and there can be no religion higher than the truth. Out of the years of study and thought emerged the system we call religious science, because religion is our idea of God, while science is a knowledge of facts, causes, and principles which exist independently of our thinking, just as gravitational force does. Religious science is a compilation of the great thoughts of the ages, the deep mystical yearnings of minds in search for God, and the modern approach to a faith which can be demonstrated. This is a brief history of the religious science movement, which is gradually spreading as though it had a cosmic purpose behind it. But there is nothing dogmatic about it. You can add the science of mind to your own religion, whatever form it may take, and find it to be effective. For principles are no respecters of person, and heaven has no favorites. A world without religion would be chaos. A world built on dogma alone would be arbitrary. Surely, any religion which holds that the final truth has been delivered once and for all to its own group must contain a large amount of superstition and thereby prohibits the further evolution of the human mind. Religious science is the outcome of what has gone before and, we believe, a forerunner of what is to come. Religious science is not a personal opinion, nor is it a special revelation. It is a result of the best thoughts of the ages. It borrows much of its light from others, but in doing so robs no one, for truth is universal. Taking the best from all sources, religious science has access to the highest enlightenment of the ages. Shorn of dogmatism, free from superstition, and always ready for greater illumination, religious science offers the student of life the best that the world has discovered. The varying faiths of humankind are unnumbered, but the primal truth of the race is, today as of old, the one faith, an instinctive reliance upon the unseen, which we call God. Religion is one, faith is one, truth is one. There is one reality at the heart of all religions, whether their name be Hindu, Mohammedan, Christian, or Jewish. While the universal mind contains all knowledge and is the potential of all things, Only as much truth comes to us as we are able to receive. Should all the wisdom of the universe be poured over us, we should yet receive only that which we are ready to understand. Each draws from the source of all knowledge only to which they inwardly listen. The scientist discovers the principle of their science. The artist taps the essence of beauty. The saint draws Christ into their being, because to each is given according to their ability to receive. Believing that the universal spirit comes to fullest consciousness in one's innermost self, we strive to cultivate the inner life, knowing that spiritual certainty is the result of an impact of God upon the soul. Like the Methodism of old, we seek the witness of the inner spirit. In its practice and teachings, religious science endeavors to include the whole life. It is not a dreamy, mystical cult, but the exponent of a vigorous philosophy applicable to the everyday needs of life, and this accounts for its rapid growth. People find in it a message that fits in with their daily needs. The conventional idea of the future life, with its teachings of reward and punishment, is not stressed. The gospel is the good news for the here and now. Religion, if it means anything, means right living, and right thinking wait upon no future, but bestow their rewards in this life, in better health, happier homes, and all that makes for a well-balanced, normal life. The thought of the ages has looked to the day when science and religion shall walk hand in hand through the visible to the invisible. A movement which endeavors to unify the great conclusions of human experience must be kept free from petty ideas, from personal ambitions, and from any attempts to promote one person's opinion. Science knows nothing of opinion, but recognizes a government of law whose principles are universal. These laws, when complied with, respond alike to all. Religion becomes dogmatic and often superstitious when based on the lengthened shadow of any one personality. Philosophy intrigues us only to the extent that it sounds a universal note. The ethics of Buddha, the morals of Confucius, the beatitudes of Jesus, together with the spiritual experiences of other great minds, constitute viewpoints of life which must not be overlooked. The mystical concepts of the ancient sage of China keep faith with the sayings of Emerson, and wherever deep cries unto deep, deep answers deep. Old forms, old creeds are passing, but the eternal realities abide. Religion has not been destroyed, it is being discovered. God is the great innovator in its world, and progress is by divine authority. Through all the ages, one increasing purpose runs, and that purpose can be no less than the evolution of the highest spiritual attributes of humankind. It is the unessential only that is vanishing, that the abiding may be made more clearly manifest. What wonder that religious faith in our day is breaking from the narrow bounds of past teaching and expanding in both breadth and depth. It is not because people believe less in God and the truth essentials of spiritual life, but because they must believe more. They are literally forced by the inevitable logic of facts to build for themselves concepts of the infinite commensurate with the greatness and glory of the world in which they live. The future religion will be free from fear, superstition, and doubt, and will ask no person where God may be found. For the secret place of the Most High will be revealed in the inner sanctuary of one's own heart, and the eternal God will sit enthroned in one's own mind. We can know no God external to that power of perception by which alone we are conscious of anything. God must be interpreted to humanity through humanity's own nature. Who would know God must be as God, for it that inhabits eternity finds a dwelling place in its own creation. Standing before the altar of life in the temple of faith, an individual learns that they are an integral part of the universe and that it would not be complete without them. That native faith within, which we call intuition, is the direct impartation of divine wisdom through us. Who can doubt its gentle urge or misunderstand its meaning? There is a presence pervading all, an intelligence running through all, a power sustaining all, binding all into one perfect whole. The realization of this presence, intelligence, power, and unity constitutes the nature of the mystic Christ, the indwelling spirit, the image of God, the sonship to the Father. Christ means the universal idea of sonship, the entire creation, both visible and invisible. There is one parent of all. This one parent, conceiving within itself, gives birth to all the divine ideas. The sum total of all of these ideas constitutes the mystic Christ. Jesus was a man, a human being, who understood his own nature. He knew that as the human embodies the divine, it manifests the Christ potential. Every man is a potential Christ. From the least to the greatest, the same life runs through all, threading itself into the patterns of our individuality. It is overall, in all, and through all. As Jesus, the man, gave way to the divine idea, the human took on the Christ spirit and became the voice of God to humanity. Conscious of his divinity, yet humble as he contemplated the infinite life around him, Jesus spoke from the height of spiritual perception, proclaiming the deathless reality of the individual life, the continuity of the individual soul, the unity of the universal spirit with all people. Religious science, following the example of Jesus, teaches that all people may aspire to divinity, since all people are incarnations of God. It also teaches a direct relationship between God and humanity. God is incarnated in all people and individualized through all creation without loss to itself. Within the one supreme mind exists the possibility of projecting limitless expressions of itself, but each expression is unique and different from any other. Thus, the infinite is not divided but multiplied. While all people have the same origin, no two are alike except in ultimate essence. One God and parent of us all, but numberless children, each child a unique institution in the universe of wholeness. Humanity is an individualized center of God consciousness and spiritual power, as complete as we know ourselves to be, and we know ourselves only as we comprehend our relationship to the whole. This overbrooding presence, this inner sense of a greater reality, bears witness to itself through our highest acts and in our deepest emotions. Who is there who has not at times felt this inner presence? It is impossible to escape our true nature. We stand in the shadow of a mighty presence, while love forever points the way to heaven. Behind all is a unity, through all is diversity, saturating all is a divinity. The universe is a spiritual system governed by laws of mind. There are not two minds. There is but one mind, which is God. The outpush of the mind of God through the mind of humanity is the self-realization of spirit seeking a new outlet for its own expression. Religious science teaches that God is personal and personal in a unique sense to everyone. It teaches that conscious communion with the indwelling spirit opens avenues of intuition and provides a new starting point for the creative power of the Almighty. Every person comes from the bosom of the unseen parent. As divinity is awakened, the divine spark shot from the central fires of the universal flame warms other souls in the flow of its own self-realization. Religious science not only emphasizes the unity of God and people, it teaches us that in such degree as our thought becomes spiritualized, it actually manifests the power of God. Throughout the ages, wonderful results have been obtained through the prayer of faith practiced by every religion. There is a law governing this possibility, or it never could have been. It is the business of religious science to view these facts, estimate their cause, and in so doing provide a definite knowledge of the law governing these facts. Religious science is a religion of joy, free from fear. It is a religion of faith justified by results. Religious science offers the world what the ages have been waiting for. It is the culmination of the hope, the aspiration, and the faith of the enlightened of all time. The new age demands that the fear and superstition surrounding religious conviction be removed, and that the truth, plain, simple, and direct, be presented, that humanity may learn to live now in the presence with the assurance that the eternal God is their refuge.